These are the practice problems for Lesson 6, which is entitled Describing Transformations. There are 4 problems. The first problem is this one, in which you're supposed to take figure A, image A, and reflect that image over the y-axis. So notice it ends up on the other side in quadrant 2, starts in quadrant 1, and it's an equal distance from the line of reflection, which is the y-axis. So each of these points travels at a right angle to the y-axis. That means perpendicular to the y-axis, and ends up on the other side an equal distance away. And then you reflect figure B to figure C. So it's the same idea. All these points reflect down here an equal distance away from the x-axis now. And then you reflect C back to B, and it becomes figure D, which is basically the same as figure B. So it just reflects back over the x-axis. Now I would have liked to have them ask you to reflect A over the y-axis into quadrant 2, then over the x-axis into quadrant 3, and then over the y-axis into quadrant 4, and then over the x-axis back into quadrant 1. And you'll see that it returns to A. And the other thing that you see is that 2 reflections, reflection of A to B and B to C, results in a 180-degree rotation of A. So this rotates 90 degrees, and then rotates 90 degrees, and that rotation will end up here, and it will be the same as 2 reflections. So 2 90-degree rotations ends up being the same as 2 reflections over the axes. Problem number 2 asks you what are the coordinates of a point that's 180 degrees away from, or a rotation of this point right here, which is -4, +1. So this is -4, +1. The center of rotation is -3, 0. So you rotate this point around, and it ends up right here. And so what I would do is I would count along the x-axis 1 unit, and up the y-axis 1 unit, and then rotate where you count 180 degrees over to here, and then count along the x-axis 1 unit, and then down 1 unit. And you're going to end up at -2, -1. The other way to do this certainly is just to plot the other points that they give you and see which one is at a 180-degree angle, and you'll see it's the same point, -2, -1. Next problem, you're supposed to do a sequence of transformations moving A to B. Lots of ways to do this. You could actually reflect A this way first, so that the reflection is right here. So it ends up right here, and then translate this image over to B. What I chose to do is translate it first. I moved it up 2 units, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4 units, and then reflected it around a line that's vertical and parallel to the y-axis that goes through 3. So this is the x value of 3, and then that's the line that's perpendicular to the x-axis going through 3. So that's the line of reflection, and it reflects over to B. The last problem, you're going to do 3 things with this problem. You're going to translate it, you're going to reflect it, and you're going to rotate it. The first one is to show a translation that takes B to D. So you're going to slide this image across, and B is going to land right on top of D. So this whole image is going to slide over here. And so there it is, but this is a little bit hard for me to see. So I'm going to go back and go through it in steps. I'm going to just walk this over or step this over. You're going to see that B lands right on top of D. So I call it B prime. So it lands right here, right on top of D. This is C prime, D prime, and A prime. Now, a prism is a translated copy of the base. So here's the base, and this is a translated copy of the base. And then the corresponding sides are connected by parallelograms. So you could draw those parallelograms and shade them in, and this becomes a prism. It's a translated copy of the base. So this is the base, and the black base is in the back. And then the faces, the sides, are parallelograms that are that connect the corresponding sides. And the last one is to reflect, or actually it's the second part of this problem, is to reflect this image over a line of reflection which is BC. So now you have to remember that a line of reflection is perpendicular to the path that these points are going to travel to get on the other side of that line of reflection. So I would extend this line out and then draw a line that's perpendicular, that's at a right angle from D, that goes in this direction, and then D prime is going to be an equal distance on the other side. So D prime is going to end up here, and likewise A is going to do the same thing. A is going to travel at a path that's perpendicular to the line of reflection, so you have to make sure this is a right angle, and then it's an equal distance on the other side. So it ends up down here. Connect these points, and you have your figure that's a reflection of the original figure over BC, over the line segment BC. And the last one is to rotate this image around. The center of rotation is point A, and you're going to rotate at this angle, which is DAB. So you rotate around this angle, so that means that this side right here is going to land on top of this side right here. So you make a copy in Doceri App, you just make a copy of this image and rotate it around and set it right here. So this side now has rotated this many degrees. It looks like it's about 60 degrees. They don't tell you, it's not on a grid, but it looks like about 60 degrees. So rotate this about 60 degrees, so this image ends up rotating up here, and that's the rotation. Center rotation is A. So those are the practice problems for lesson 6.